Yes, the recording has started, and let me share my screen. So I hope you all can see my screen now. Just confirm me once again whether, yeah, Gopi says I am audible and visible. Yeah, thank you for confirming. Yeah, fine, fine. So first, today we are going to quickly revise the concepts which we have discussed yesterday. After that, let us start. What is the what is the main purpose of using for and else in Python, and we will discuss some pattern programs. So fine, I am going to disable the chat now. So first let me create a new folder called day 15. Today is our 15th day. So inside this folder I am going to open VS Code, and also let me open this break continue.py file. So yesterday I have explained what is the use of this break, continue and pause keywords in Python. So today once again I will revise this because these are important in Python while dealing with loops. So let me select the interpreter here. So I think you all can see my screen fine. So the first thing is about break, right? So if we want to terminate a loop, then we can use break statement. So this break is a keyword, and this break statement is used to terminate a loop. So in case here my range starts from 1 and it will end at 10, right? So whenever the value of I becomes 5, then this loop will be terminated completely. So that's the point of using break. If we want to terminate a loop, then we can use break statement. Similarly, continue. So in case if you want to end the current iteration, so here have a look at the range. So it starts from 1 and it will end at 10, right? So in case if the value of I becomes 4 means after 4 iterations, obviously the value of I will become 4. So if I is 4 means then I am executing this continue statement inside my if block. So this continue statement will end the current iteration and it will move towards the next iteration. So in the next iteration, the value of I will be 5, right? So whatever the code that is present below the continue statement, that code will not get executed. So basically, this continue keyword will end the current iteration. It will not terminate the loop completely, but it end the current iteration and it will move on to the next iteration. It will start executing the next iteration. So if the value of I equal to 4 means it won't get printed because this print statement is present below my continue statement. So as the continue is getting executed here, this continue will move to the next iteration instead of executing the lines which are present below it. So the lines present below continue statement will not get executed. So if you want to end the current iteration and move on to the next iteration, then you can use continue keyword. What is meant by iteration? It is basically means repeating the code again and again, right? So repeating is called as iteration. And pause keyword, we have seen that this pause keyword will do nothing. So in case if you want to declare some empty if blocks, for blocks, while blocks, so instead of assigning some random values to random variables, or instead of using some random print statements, you can simply use this pause keyword. So this pause keyword will basically do nothing. And in case if you have requirement like you need to declare some empty blocks, here I have declared an empty if block. I don't want to write anything inside this if block as of now. In future maybe I can write some code. So I just want to declare this empty if block, but my Python won't allow me to do that. So if without pass keyword, if I run this program, then it will return me a error. So it says indentation error because I need to write at least a single line of code inside this if block. So instead of writing some random code like this, writing some random variables, if of course if I assign some random value to random variable, then I won't get any kind of error. But we should not waste memory, right? So if I am storing a value inside a variable means basically I am wasting memory. So instead of wasting memory we can use this pass keyword. So that's the usage of pass keyword. So I hope you clearly understood about break, continue and pass. So now let us start the actual class. So first we are going to discuss about for and else in Python. So what is the use of for and else? So we know that we can use, so we basically know that we are allowed to use else block along with if, right? So along with if block, we can use else block, but we also can use this else block along with while loop and for loop. So what is the use of using this else block with while loop and for loop? Now we are going to discuss that. So here the point is else block will get executed. The loop is not terminating with break statement. So don't worry about this definition. I'll explain you clearly. So here the basic thing is the code present inside my else block will get executed if I am not terminating the loop with a break statement. So what does that mean? So let me declare a for loop here. So for I in range. So inside this loop, I am going to print the numbers from 1 to 6. So I am going to simply print the value of I. If the value of I becomes 4 means, then I am going to break this loop, and I am using a else block along with for block. Here, have a look at this else block carefully. I am not using this else for this if block. Instead, I am using this else for this for block. So let me move this if block to upward so that you won't get any confusion. So now have a look at this for and else. I am using this else along with my for loop, not with this if. So inside this else, I am going to say print program not terminated by break. So if I run this program, then you can see here I got output as 1, 2, and 3. So what is happening here? Let us trace out this program first. So here I am starting a for loop. Here my range is 1 to 5. So if I print the value of I means I will get numbers from 1 to 5. But here I am breaking this loop. I am terminating this loop with the help of this break statement. So at which condition I am breaking this loop? If the value of I becomes 4 means, then I am terminating this loop with the help of break statement. So initially the value of I will be 1 because my range starts from 1, right? So 1 is not equal to 4. So the code present inside this if block will not get executed. And what is the code that is outside my if block? I am just printing the value of I. So what is I? 1, right, initially. So I will get 1 on the output screen. Similarly, in the second iteration, the value of I will be 2, so 2 is not equal to 4. So again, 2 will be printed on my output screen. Similarly, in the next iteration, the value of I will be 3. So 3 is also not equal to 4. So the code, 3 will get printed on the output screen. In the next iteration, value of I is 4, right? So have a look at this if condition. 4 is equal to 4. So as this condition becomes true, the code present inside my if block will get executed now. So what is the code present inside my if block? Break statement. So here this break statement will get executed and my loop will be terminated. So now have a look at this definition. So I got output until 1, 2, 3. Now have a look at this definition. Else block will get executed. So I can say the code inside the else block will get executed if the loop is not terminated with break statement. So here I am terminating this loop with the help of break statement, right? So if I terminate a loop if I intentionally terminate a loop with the help of break statement, then the code present inside my else block will not get executed. So remember this point carefully. So if I terminate a loop intentionally with a break statement, then the code present inside else block will not get executed. So that's what happening here. If the value of I becomes 4 means I am terminating this loop, right? So this print statement haven't got executed. The code inside this else block haven't got executed. So that's the point of using else block here. So if you want to check whether your code is not getting terminated by break statement means, then you can use else block. So here in case if I change this 4 to 44, now the value of I starts from 1 and it will end at 5, right? So I will never I will be never equal to 44. I will be either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. That's it. Here my ending range is fixed. So I will never be equal to 44. This condition will never get true inside this loop. So inside this for loop from line number 4 to line number 7, so this condition will never become true. I will never become 44 because the value of I will be either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, because that's what I am giving as range here. My range starts from 1 and it will end at 5. So that's the point here. So I will never become 44 and the code present inside this if block will never get executed now. So I am going to get output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After printing 5, this loop will be completed. So automatically this loop will get terminated. That's it. My range will over now. Now here I am not intentionally terminating. Break statement is not getting executed in my loop now. Why? Why? Because I will be never equal to 44 inside this loop. So the I ranges from 1 to 5 only according to my range function. So now the code present inside this else block will get executed. So now I will get output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5, you can see this, you can have a look at the content present inside this print function, which is program not terminated by break. So I will get this statement also on my output screen. So basically the code present inside my else block will also get executed now. So if I run this program, now you can see initially I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5, I got program not terminated by break. So that's the point of using else block here. If the loop is not terminated with a break statement, then the code present inside else block will get executed. If the loop is getting terminated with a break statement, then the code present inside else block will not get executed. So I can say here, instead of program, I can say loop not terminated with break. This makes more sense, right? So here, if the code present inside my else block is getting executed, means loop is not getting terminated by break statement. So that's the point of using for and else in Python. So now let me comment out this. So I hope you clearly understood the usage of for along with else block. So now let us discuss some pattern programs here. So first I am going to take input from user in integer format. So I am performing typecasting along with input function. So enter number of lines. So let me comment out this line number 12 first. So before this, I want to explain you one more thing. So here the point is, so let me declare a string to variable a called hello and another variable b old. So if I use addition operation, if I perform plus operation in for A and B, what will happen? Hello and world will get concatenated, right? So if we perform addition operation on strings, what will happen? So string concatenation will happen. So after hello, world will get added. So if I run this program, you can have a look at the terminal now. So I got output as hello world. So we know this already. We are performing string concatenation here. In case, so here, if I say print a, a is my variable, right? So if I say print a minus b, then I will get an error because this operator is not allowed. This minus operator is not allowed in between strings. So if I run this program, I will get an error. So what happens if I say a into 2? Let's just forget this variable b now. Now we are going to discuss with only variable a. So now we are going to deal with variable a only. Forget variable b. So if I say a into 2, what will happen means this string will get repeated 2 times. If I run this program, then you can see here I got hello 2 times. Similarly, if I multiply a with 3, then hello will get repeated 3 times. So we can perform this multiplication operation on strings. So if we multiply a string with a number, then depending upon that number, if it is 3 means the string will get repeated 3 times. If it is 2 means the string will get repeated 2 times. If it is 30 means the string will get repeated 30 times now. Now you can have a look at the terminal. I got hello 30 times. So the here the point is we can perform multiplication on strings. So depending upon the number with which we are multiplying, the string will get repeated. So if it is 2 means the string will get repeated 2 times, etc. So I hope you understood the point here. So we can perform multiplication operation on strings. All right. So now, so after taking input from the user, if user enters 5 means, so now we are going to print this pattern. So here pyramid pattern image. So I need some image, not these images. Programming. So have a look at this image now. Now we are going to print this pyramid. So it is basically like right angle triangle, right? So all right, we are going to print stars in this format now. So if the user enters 10 means 10 rows will get printed like this. So here, let us first understand what is happening. In the first row, I am having one star. In order to get a right angle triangle, in the first row, we are having one star. In the second row, we have two stars. In the third row, we have three stars. In the fourth row, we have four stars. And similarly, it goes on. And in the 10th row, we have 10 stars. So here, at each and every line, the number of stars is getting added one by one, right? Initially, it was one, then it was two, then it was three, then it was four, then it was five. So like this, it is getting incremented. The number of stars in each and every row are incrementing by one. So I hope you understood what is happening in this pyramid. So if user enters 5 means, then I need to print 5 rows. Of course, I am going to use a for loop here. So for I in range 1 comma n plus 1. So if user enters 5 means, it will our range will start from 1 and it will go until 6. So 1 comma 6 means 1 2 3 4 5. 6 will not get included in the range, right? So I need to add plus 1 here. So if user enters 5 means, it will go from 1 to 6. So if user enters 5 means, my range will be 1 comma 5 plus 1, which is 6. So if it is 1 comma 6 means, it will start from 1 and it will end at 5. We know this. We already know how range function works in Python. So now here, of course, I need to print a star. So now if I run this program, first have a look at the output. So if I enter 5 means, of course, I got 5 stars. So I got 5 stars in each line. So what is happening here? I'm just printing one star. That's it, right? In case now we know that we can perform multiplication on strings. So similarly, if I multiply this string with I, and if I run this program once again, and if I enter 5 here, you can see here we got the desired output. So what is happening here? Let me explain this program clearly. So in the first iteration, the value of I will be 1. Right now I am entering 5. So range will be 1 comma 6. So it will start from 1 and it will end at 5. We know this. Now in the first iteration, value of I will be 1. So what is this? So here we are multiplying this star. This star is a string. That's it, right? So star into 1, we will get star one time. Now in the second iteration, the value of I is 2, right? So now we are multiplying this star with 2. So of course I am going to get star 2 times. In the third iteration, value of I will be 3, right? So I am multiplying this star with 3. So now what is star into 3? 3 stars. That's it, right? In case if I give some string here, or else if I give a character A here, I am going to get A instead of star. That's it. So basically, we are repeating it. That's it. In the fourth iteration, I will be 4. So A into 4 will be 4 A's. A. And similarly, in the final iteration, the value of I will be 5. So A into 5 will be 5 A's. That's it. So if I replace this with hash or any special character, I am going to get that on the output screen. If I enter 10 means, you can see here this time I got 10 rows. So like this, we can print a pyramid in Python. Similarly, now with a small modification in my range, everything will change. So now have a look at this code. Let me copy this. I think just give me a second. So here I am going to replace this hash with star itself because my Python interpreter will get confused if I use hash because hash is used for commenting, right? So I am going to copy this output and I am going to paste this output here and I am going to comment this output for above code. All right. Now I am going to comment out this. Now we are going to make a small modification to this code. Now I am going to reverse the range. Now I am going to say n comma 0 comma minus 1. So what is happening inside my range function now? Suppose if I enter 5 means the value of n will be 5, right? So my range is 5 comma 0. So and also here I am using decrementing. I am decrementing at each step. We know a range function will take three parameters. First one is starting, next one is ending range, next the final will be increment or decrement. So we know that by default this third parameter will be 1. Now I am changing this to minus 1. So initially the value of I will be n. So let us consider n is 5 now. So initially I will be 5. In the second iteration I will be 4 because I am decrementing it, right. So 5 minus 1 will be 4. So we have clearly discussed about this range function in previous class. So I won't repeat this again and again. So next in the next iteration 5 minus 1 4, in the next iteration 4 minus 1 3, in the next iteration 3 minus 1 2. So like this my value of I will change inside the loop. So here I am going to print star itself. So first I will be 5. So star will get printed 5 times. In the next iteration I will be 4. So star will get printed 4 times. In the next iteration I will be 3. So so this star will get printed 3 times because I am multiplying this star string with I, right. So the value of I is changing here. So if I run this program, now this time if I enter 5, then you can see here I got one more pyramid here. So that's it. So like this, you can get one more pyramid just by changing the range. Here we are just changing the range. That's it. So I am going to comment out this and I am going to paste this output and I am going to comment out this output and I am going to copy the same line here also. So output for above code. So like this, we can print patterns, pyramids in Python. So you can try just by changing the range and just by using some nested for loops, you can do a lot of things. So here, once again, let me print one more pyramid. So yesterday we have seen this in case if we want to print a square. So for I in range 1 comma n plus 1 print star into 5. Now here I have just given 5. So in all the lines, so if I run this and if I enter 5 here, then you can see here, I got a square. So here, what is happening? I am multiplying this star string with 5, right? So in all the rows, this star will get printed 5 times. That's it. So in the first iteration, I will be 1. Here, there is nothing to do with this I variable. So here I have given number 5. So on all the rows, there will be 5 stars. If I change this to 10, in all the rows, I will have 10 stars. So if I enter 5, then you can see here in all the rows, I have 10 stars. This looks like a rectangle, right? So like this, we can print patterns in Python. So let me copy this output also. So this is the output of the above code. Like this, you can do pattern programming in Python. Similarly, you can try for triangle and some other examples. You can make use of Google. In Google, search for triangle program in Python and have a look at the for loop range and try to understand what is happening there. So like that, you can perform pattern programming in Python. So today we have discussed about for and else, and after that we have seen some of the pattern programs. Now let me close this file and so I think we can discuss about functions now. So let me just think once again. So here we can also try one more program. If you want to check whether a number is prime number or not, this is an important program. In some interviews, they may ask you. So I will explain that program. So check whether the number is prime number or not. So for this, the first step is I need to take an input from the user in integer format. So int of input, enter a number. So after that, we need to check whether this number is prime number or not. So what is a prime number? So basically, if a number is getting divided by 1 and itself, so if a number is getting divided by 1 and itself only means, then that number will be considered as prime number. So consider 5. So 5 is a prime number because we can divide 5 with 1 and also we can divide 5 with 5. So apart from these two numbers, we can't perform division on 5. Suppose if we consider 6 means we can divide 6 with 2 and also we can divide 6 with 3, right? 2 threes are 6 and 3 twos are 6. Similarly, consider 8. We can divide 8 with 4. 4 twos are 8. We can divide 8 with 2. 2 fours are 8. So these are not prime numbers. 4, 4, 6, 8, these are all not prime numbers. So 5, 3, 5, 7, these are prime numbers because we can't divide these numbers with other numbers. These numbers can be divided by 1. Either we can divide these numbers with either 1 or with the same number itself. So consider 7. We can divide 7 with 1 and also we can divide 7 with 7. Apart from 1 and 7, we can't perform division operation on 7. So I hope you know what is meant by prime numbers. It's a basic thing, right? So here we are going to take a number from the user and we are going to check whether that number is prime number or not. So for this, I need to, so in order to check this, first I need to divide that number with all the numbers, right? So let me write the program first. So for I in range, one come not one. I need to start the range from 2. I will explain why I am starting it with 2. 2 comma n. If n% I is equal to 0, then take else print. I am going to use f strings here. So I will explain what is happening in this program. So n is a prime number. So I am starting the range from 2 because we are not allowed, all the numbers are divisible by 1, right? All the numbers are divisible by 1. Even prime numbers are also divisible by 1. So there is no point in checking with 1. So we are starting the range with 2 and it will end at 10. Now consider the value of n is 5 now. So my range will be from 2 to 6. So here first have a look at this if condition. So I am performing modulo operation. We know what this modulo operator will return. It will return remainder, right? So consider 7 now. So if we divide in the first iteration, the value of I will be 2 because my range is starting from 2, right? So if we divide 7 with 2, then the remainder will not be 0. Let me print out that. So I will comment out. Otherwise, I will use some online compiler here. So online Python compiler or interpreter int 7% to run. Now you can see I got output as 1. Have a look at the output on the right side. I got output as 1. So if we divide 7 with 2, we will get remainder as 1. We will not get remainder as 0 because we are not allowed to divide 7 with 2, right? So if I perform division operation, then you can see I am getting a floating point number 3.5. So basically this point 0.5 is extra, right? So 7% 2 will be not equal to 0. It will be 1. If we divide 7 with 2, then the remainder will be 1. So here have a look at the condition now. So I am initially dividing my n. N is 7, right? We here our requirement is we need to check whether the number 7 is prime number or not. So 7 so if we divide 7 with 2, then output will 7 the remainder will be 1, so it will not be equal to 0. So the code present inside this if block will not get executed. And similarly, if we in the next iteration I will be 3, right? So if we divide 7 with 3, then again the remainder will not be 0. You can check. If I divide 7 with 3, then you can see here I got output as 1 again. So basically, if we divide prime numbers with other numbers, so apart from itself and 1, so consider 7, if we divide prime numbers with other numbers, then we will not get remainder as 0. So that's the point here. If we divide a prime number with other numbers, then we will not get remainder as 0. So this remainder will never be equal to 0. So in case if the remainder is becoming 0 means, then the code present inside my if block will get executed. So consider 6 now. So 6% 2 itself is 0. If we divide 6 with 2, then we will get remainder as 0. So now the code present inside my if block will get executed. I am going to get output as 17 is not a prime number. So 2, right? So 2 is not a prime number. I am going to get output as 2 is not a prime number, and after that my loop will get terminated. That's it. Similarly, consider 5 now. So 5% 2 is not equal to 0, 5% 3 is not equal to 0, 5% 4 is not equal to 0, and if it is 5 means my range will start from 2 and it will end at 4. That's it. Now, as you can see here, this if block is not getting executed throughout the loop, and my program is not getting, which means if this if block is not getting executed means my program is not getting terminated with break statement. So we know that if a programming if a loop is not getting terminated with a break statement means the code present inside else block will get executed. So now I will get output as 5. N is 5, right? So 5 is a prime number. So if I run this program, now if I enter 5, then you can see here I got output as 5 is a prime number. If I run this once again, if I enter 7, you can see here I got output as 7 is a prime number. If I run this program again and if I enter 6, you can see here I got output as 6 is not a prime number. So basically, if we divide, if we after performing division, if you are getting remainder as 0 means, then that number is not a prime number. So I will get output as so now 6 n is 6, right? So I will get output as 6 is not a prime number, and my loop will get terminated with this break statement. As the loop is getting terminated with the break statement, the code present inside my else block will not get executed now. Similarly, if I run this once again and this time if I enter 17, then you can see here I got output as 17 is a prime number. So what is happening here? If we divide 17 with numbers from 2 to 16. Let me repeat once again. If we divide 17 with numbers from 2 to 16, we will never get remainder as 0. So the code present inside this if block will never get executed, which means this break statement also will never get executed, and this loop will not get terminated intentionally with the help of break statement. And we know that if the loop is not getting terminated with break statement, then the code present inside else block will get executed. So now this time I will get output as 17 is a prime number. So I hope you understood this program now. This is the program to check whether the number is a prime number or not. Now we will discuss the syntax of functions first. Let me create a file called functions.py. Now let us discuss about functions. So far we have discussed about functions like max, min, and also we have seen that print is a function, this input is a function, this int is a function. All these are functions, but the main difference is these are built-in functions. So all these functions are automatically comes along with the installation of Python software. Now, in case if we want to create functions of our own, then we can also do that with the help of Python. But before starting functions, if you have any doubts, then you can ask me now. I have enabled the chat section. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. So here, let me just repeat this once again. So here, if we are terminating a loop with break statement, then the code present inside else block will not get executed. In case if we are not terminating a loop, if we are not terminating loop with break statement, if we are not terminating only means then only the code present inside else block will get executed. Suppose if we are terminating a loop with a break statement means then the code present inside this else block will not get executed. So that's the usage of for and else. Here I am terminating this loop with a break statement. So if I terminate this loop intentionally with the help of break statement, then this else block will not get executed. If I won't terminate the loop with the help of break statement means then the code present inside else block will get executed. And here the concept of prime numbers is simple. So um, first, I need to check whether the number is prime number or not. How can I do that? I need to divide that number with all the numbers. So in case while dividing, if I am getting remainder as 0 means, then that number is not a prime number. If I am not getting remainder as 0 means, then that number will be a prime number. So that's it. So here first I am starting the range from 2 because all the numbers are divisible by 1. Even prime numbers like 7, 5, they are also divisible by 1. So I need to start range from 2 and I will end it at n. So in case consider 5 here. So my range will start from 2 and it will end at 4. So first check whether 5 5% 2 is equal to 0 or not. So no, right? If we divide 5 with 2, then the remainder will not be 0. Similarly, in the next iteration, if we divide 5 with 3, then also the remainder will not be 0. So the of course, if it is not equal to 0 means the code present inside this if block will not get executed. Similarly for 3 also, 5% 3 also the remainder is not equal to 0. If we divide 5 with 4 also, then also the remainder is not equal to 0. So here this if block is not getting executed at all. So if this if block is not getting executed at all means then this break statement is also not getting executed. So what will happen now? I am using else block here, right? So now the loop is not getting terminated with a break statement. So now the code present inside my else block will get executed. Now I will get output as 5 is a prime number. Now consider 4. Then starts from 2 and it will end at 3. So 2 comma 4 means it will start from 2 and it will end at 3, right? So first 4% 2. 4% 2 itself is 0. If we divide 4 with 2, then we will get remainder as 0. Now the code present inside this if block will get executed. I will get output as 4 is not a prime number and after that I am breaking this loop. As I am breaking this loop, now the code present inside my else block will not get executed. That's it. This time I will get output as 4 is not a prime number. So like this, the prime number program works in Python. I hope you understood now. And similarly, just one, give me a second. So Kavya is asking, sir, we are using range in prime numbers. If n is equal to 5, then range will be 2 comma 5. Yes, if the range is 2 comma 5 means it will start from 2 and it will end at 4. That's how range function works. It will not check for 5. So if we divide 5 with 5, then of course we are going to get remainder as 0. So there is no point in checking with 5 with 5. So as I am saying just n here, so n is 5 means it will start from 2 and it will end at 4. So that's how range function works in Python. So 8 is not a prime number. 8 is divisible by 2 and 4, right? So it is not a prime number. And also, so Lakshmi is asking me to print some pattern. So of course, I also don't know how to print that pattern. I am going to try. First step is I am going to take input from the user. Now my target is 4321. I need to print like this, right? So prime range n comma 0 comma minus 1 int I. I would put it like this. So of course, like this, you can print this pattern. I also don't know. I just tried with some random combinations. That's what I did. So basically, here I am using nested for loop. So here the range of main for loop is 1 comma n plus 1. Suppose consider the value of n is 4 now. So my range will be 1 comma 5, which means it will start from 1 and it will end at 4. So in the first iteration, the value of I will be 1. Now come to this nested for loop. So what is happening here? The range of this nested for loop is n comma I minus 1 comma minus 1. So what is the value of n? 4, right? So what is the value of I now? So I is 1. So what is 1 minus 1? 0. So 4 comma 0 comma minus 1. So 4 comma 0 comma minus 1. In the first iteration, my range is 4 comma 0 comma minus 1. So here it will start from 4 and it will end at 1. If it is 0 means it will start from 4 and it will end at 1. So here I am printing the value of j. So in now come to this nested for loop. Inside this nested for loop, initially the value of j will be 4 because my range is starting from 4, right? The value of n is 4. So 4 comma 0 comma minus 1. So initially the value of j will be 4. So 4 will get printed on the output screen. And after that, I am using this end parameter because I don't want to print the three. I don't want to print the next iteration in next line. I want to print that in same line itself. So I am using this end parameter. So again in the nested for loop, the value of j will be 3, right? 4 minus 1 is 3. So again I will get 3 as output on the same line because I am using end parameter. Similarly, the value of j will be 2 and again it will be 1. So the final range will be 1. As I am saying it 0 as ending range, it will start from 4 and it will end at 1. So like this, my range function will work. So for this print statement, I will get output as 4, 3, 2, 1. So after 1, this nested for loop is completely executed now. This loop is completed now. So again, go to the second iteration of the main loop. Now the value of I is 2, right? Previously it was 1, now it is 2. So consider, now come back to the nested for loop. Now again, this for loop, this nested for loop is going to completely execute. So before, so initially the value of the range is 4. Now I is 2, right? What is 2 minus 1? So 2 minus 1 is, I'm sorry, the value of I is here now 2, right? So 2 minus 1 is 1. Of course, 2 minus 1 is 1. So now my range will start from 4 and it will end at 2. So if it is 1 means here I am using the reverse range. I am performing decrement here. So now it will start from 4 and it will end at 2. So initially the value of j inside my nested for loop will be 4, again it will be 3, again it will be 2, and it will end. Now again it will enter into a new line. Now the third iteration will begin in the main for loop. Now the value of I will be previously 2, now it will be 3. So if it is 3 means what is 3 minus 1? So 3 minus 1 is 2, right? So 4 comma 2 comma minus 1. This is my range now in the for the nested for loop. So I am printing the value of j. Initially it will be 4, then it will be 3. After 3, this will end. That's it. So that's why in the third line I got output as 4 and 3 only. As my range starts from 4 and it will end at 2, it will start from 4 and it will end at 3, because here my ending range is 2, right? And also I am performing decrement here. So again I am entering into a new line with the help of this empty print function. Now finally the value of I will be like, previously it was 3, now it will be 4. So 4 minus 4, 0. Sorry, 4, now it is 4. So 4 minus 1, not 4 minus 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So only 4 will get printed this time. That's it. If it starts from 4 and it will end at 3 means only 4 will get printed. 3 will not get printed because that's how range works in Python. So like this, you can get this pattern. So now let us discuss about functions. So first, what is meant by a function? In our previous classes, I have explained that function is used to do a specific job. I have told like this, function is used to do a specific task. So the main point of using functions is they are designed to do a particular task. So what is the task of max function? It will return the greatest number from the list or from the iterable. What is the task or job of min function? It will return the smallest number from the list. Similarly, what is the job of len function? It will return the count of elements present inside a iterable. So if I declare an empty list with some random elements like this, and if I say print len of L. If I run this program, what will happen? Of course, so here, let me delete all these terminals. So you can see here I got output as 5, which means there are 5 elements present inside my list. So each and every function is having a specific job to do. So that's the point here. So similarly, these are inbuilt functions. Can we create our own functions? Yes, of course, we can create our own functions. Now today we are going to create a function called greet, whose job is to greet someone. That's it. So I am going to create a function called greet. And of course, according to the syntax, we know that if we are using a function means after functions, it is mandatory to use this open braces or parentheses. Now, if I run this program, I will get error because I have this greet is not an inbuilt function in Python. So here the point is greet is not an inbuilt function. Now I am going to define this greet function. So how can we do that? So for that, first we need to discuss about syntax. Before discussing about syntax, let me give some basic definition. Functions are used to do specific task, and also functions are block of code. Also, we can call functions multiple times. What is meant by calling a function? I will explain. Function is nothing but just a block of code. That's it. And what is the purpose of that block of code? It will do a specific task. What task it will do? Depending upon our requirement. If I want to add two numbers, then I can create a function called add, which will take two parameters, basically which will take two numbers. So so if I call that function along with two numbers means like this. So if I say add of 2 comma 4, so we know that whatever the values which we are passing inside this parenthesis are called as parameters or arguments, right? So here I am passing 2 comma 4 as parameters to my add function. So now I am expecting output as 6 because here the job of add function is to perform addition, right? Of course, if I run this, I will get an error because this add is not a inbuilt function in Python. We need to define this function before using it. So first, let us discuss about the syntax, and after that, let us see how we can create our own functions like add and greet. So first here, the syntax is we need to use this keyword. So this def, which is used to define a function. So this def is a keyword. We are going to use this keyword to define a function. So after this def keyword, we need to give the name of the function. So here after that we need to give function name, and after that we need to give this parenthesis. So inside this parenthesis, we can accept some parameters. We can accept multiple parameters also, or else we can leave it empty also. It's up to us. It's up to our need and our requirement. So of course, as it is a function, which means it is a block of code. So after function name and parenthesis, we need to use this colon, and in the below line we need to give indentation space. So we need to give 4 empty spaces for indentation. So now I need to write some code here. So now if there is indentation space present before any particular line, means that line of code will belong to this function now. So these three lines, line number 7, 8, 9, these 3 lines belongs to my function because I am giving indentation space before these 3 lines. In case in, if in line number 10, if I don't give indentation space, means this line number 10 will not belong to my function now. This line number 10 is separate. So similar to for, else, while, if block, else blocks, in functions also we will give the same indentation space. So according to the syntax of Python, first we need to use this def keyword for defining a function. After that, the name of the function. After that, parenthesis, and inside parenthesis we will take some parameters. After that, colon, and in the below line we need to give indentation space. So if a line is having indentation space, means that line will belong to my function. And if a line is not having indentation space, like line number 10, means that line will not belong to my function. So this is the syntax of defining a function. Now first let us define this greet function. So I am going to say def. Now my name of the function is greet, right? So I am not going to take any parameters inside this greet function. So after that, I need to use colon. In the below line, I need to give indentation space. I am going to print hi, and in the below line, I am going to print welcome to Python class, learn and enjoy. So that's it. So here I have created a simple function with 3 print statements. These 3 print statements will belong to my function now. So now let me delete these 2 lines. And if I run this program, you can see here I got nothing in the output. Why? Why? Because these 3 print statements belongs to my function. These print statements are not outside my functions. In case if these print statements are outside the function, means then these print statements will get executed. As these print statements are inside my function, so these print statements will not get executed unless I call this function. So how to call the function? Simple, function name followed by parenthesis. That's it. Like this you can call a function. So let me write the comment here, like calling a function, and this is defining a function. So here, with the help of def keyword, I have defined a function called greet, and inside this greet, I am having some print functions. So whenever I call this greet function, the code present inside this greet function will get executed. Now, as I am calling this greet function at line number 17, if I run this program, you can see here this time I got output as hi, welcome to Python class, learn and enjoy. Suppose if I don't call this greet function, means the code present inside my function will not get executed. And also the one more important thing is I can define a function once and I can call it multiple times. What does that mean? I can call this function multiple times. If I run this, you can see here I got hi, welcome, learn and enjoy multiple times. So which means for each and every call, the code present inside my function is getting executed. For each and every call, the code present inside my function is getting executed. So this is the concept of functions in Python. So here, let me write that thing also. We can define a function once and we can execute it multiple and we can call it multiple times. Also, one more important thing. So the code present inside a function will get executed only when we call a function. We have seen this, right? So without calling this function, I won't get anything on my output screen. Whenever I call this function, the code present inside this function will get executed and I will get desired output. So here the point is we can create a function once. So I am just defining this function one time and I can call this function multiple times. So whenever I call this function, I will get the same output. So the code present inside this function will get repeated again, will get executed again. So that's the main advantage of using function. So the main thing in functions is it is used to do a specific job. Now, what is the job of this greet function? So the main task or job of this greet function is it will greet us like, hi, welcome to Python class, learn and enjoy. That's it. So this is a function, and similarly, this is a function without parameters. Function without parameters or arguments. We can use both words. Arguments and parameters both are same. Now let us discuss about functions with parameters or arguments. So we know that if we want to use some arguments means then we need to use those arguments inside this parenthesis according to the syntax. So now I am going to create a function called add. So this function will take two numbers. So one will be n1 and another number will be n2. So this function is taking two arguments now. So now here I need to perform addition. So add equal to n1 plus n2. After performing addition, I know how to perform addition. Simply I need to use this plus operator, arithmetic operator, right? So after performing addition, print the value which is stored inside add variable. So in here I am declaring a variable called add. Here this n1 and n2 are my arguments. So I haven't declared this n1 and n2 anywhere, but as they are my arguments which are present inside my parentheses, I can use them inside my function. I am not allowed to use them outside my function, but inside my function I can use n1 and n2 because I am taking this n1 and n2 arguments. I am passing this n1 and n2 arguments to the function add. So how to call this function? If I say add means I will get error. So if I run this program, you can see here I got error because you can see the error. Add missing two required positional arguments. As I am taking n1 and n2 as two arguments to this add function, if I call this function without passing any parameters means I will get an error. So I need to make sure that I am passing any two random parameters here. So now this time I am passing 2 comma 4. This 2 will be stored in n1 and similarly this 4 will be stored in n2. So now what is here I am performing n1 plus n2, right? So n1 is 2 and n2 is 4. So 2 plus 4 is 6 and I am printing the value of 6. So if I run this program now, you can see here I got output as 6. Similarly, if I add 4 comma 8 and if I run this program, you can see here I got output as 12. So like this, you can define this function once and you can use it multiple times. So these are basic functions. We can also create complex functions. We will discuss that in upcoming days. But this is the basic concept. Like this, we can define our own functions. Previously, we have discussed about max, len, min functions, right? Type function. So they are built-in functions. Similarly, like this, so like them only, like those functions, we can also create our own functions. So you can see here, I am following the same syntax. Previously, max was a function. Now, Add is a function. I have created a function called add, which will take two numbers n1 comma n2. It will add those two numbers and it will print those two numbers. So while calling the add function, I need to make sure that I am passing two numbers, because this add function is taking two arguments. As I am taking two arguments here, I need to make sure that I am also passing two arguments while calling. Let me repeat once again. As I am taking two arguments inside this add function at line number 24, so similarly, while calling the function also, I need to make sure that I am passing two arguments. Here at line number 28 and 29, I am passing arguments, and at line number 24, while defining a function, I am taking those arguments. So whatever the values which I pass here will get stored inside these arguments. So 4 will be stored in n1 and 8 will be stored in n2. And whatever the code present inside this function will get executed. So that's the concept of functions. Now, what is the job of this add function? It is used to add two numbers. That's it. So here functions are used to do a specific task or specific job. Functions are nothing but a block of code. So you can say it's a block of code, right? Functions are nothing but block of code which are used to do a specific task. We can call functions multiple times. So we can define a function once and we can call them multiple times. So the code present inside a function will get executed only when we call it. So without calling a function, the code present inside it will never get executed. So if I comment out these two lines and if I run this, you can see here I got nothing on the output screen. So here the point is whenever I call the function, then only the code present inside that function will get executed. So like this, we can create our own function. So what is a function? It is used to do a specific job. That's it. It is a block of code. And we have other concepts also like return. We will discuss those things tomorrow. So I hope you clearly understood the basic concept of functions here. So if you have any doubts regarding functions, you can ask me now. I have enabled the chat section. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. So today we discussed about for else. After that, we have seen some basic pattern programs and we have discussed about functions. So as per your request, I have explained one more pattern program, and also I have explained, yeah, you're welcome Lakshmi and Sujit Sao. So yes, you can ask your doubt. So you sent the entire program, enter a positive integer. So Sujit, you send this program in WhatsApp. I'll have a look at that. Yes, the function name can be anything. Of course, it is not mandatory to use add and greet. Similar to variable names. Variable names are as per our wish, right? We can create variable names as we want, as per our requirement. Similarly, we can use function names as per our requirement. It's our wish. So parameters and arguments both are same. That's what I have been repeatedly telling you. So parameters and arguments both are same. But in case if you want to know any difference means, while calling a function, I am giving some numbers to it, right? So these numbers are called parameters. And while defining a function, I am taking some numbers, right? So these n1 comma n2 are arguments, and these 2 comma 4 are parameters. So don't confuse with that. Both parameters and arguments, they are exactly same only. Yes, method and function, they both are same. So in case of object oriented programming, we call a function as method. In case of normal programming, we call it as function. They both are exactly same. There is no difference between method and function. It is same name. So and Sivan is asking, is function name? Yes, of course, function name can be anything. Function, tell me once again. So there's nothing here. So all right, the time is already around 8:21, right? So of course, if you don't have any doubts, you can leave this class, and I am going to explain the concept of functions quickly once again. Within 1 minute, I am going to explain it. So here the function is nothing but it is used to do a specific task. First thing. So their functions are nothing but a block of code. They are a block of code. So here the point is we will define a function with the help of def keyword. After that, we will give a name to that function, and after that, we will use parenthesis. And after parenthesis, we need to mention this colon. And in the below line, if we give indentation space, means that particular line will belong to my function. If we don't give indentation space, means that line will not belong to my function. So have a look at this greet function now. So this greet function has three lines of code, three print statements, right? So whenever I call this function, the code present inside that function will get executed. So that's the point here. So here I am at line number 20, I am calling the greet function. How to call a function? Function name after that parenthesis. That's it. So in order to call a function, we need to give the function name, and after function name, we need to give parenthesis. That's how we call a function, right? We know that we have discussed about max, min, len, count type functions. So in the functions, if we want to call them, we need to give their name after that parenthesis. So if I call this function now, then the code present inside this greet function will get executed. If I don't call this function, then the code present inside this function will never get executed. So if I call it multiple times, then of course the code present inside my greet function will get executed multiple times. Similarly, this is function with some arguments. So here I am taking two arguments, n1 comma n2. Now, while calling a function also, I need to give two numbers, or also I can give strings also. So it is not mandatory to give numbers. As I am performing addition here, I have taken numbers. So that's the point here. So if I give string also, if I say hello, and if I pass another string, world, and if I run this program, this time I will get output as hello world, because we know that we can perform addition on strings, right? If I add two strings, basically concatenation will happen. After hello, world will get added. That's it. So that's the point here. So as I am taking two parameters here, I need to pass two parameters while calling also. If I won't pass these two parameters while calling, I will get an error. So if I run this program, you can see here I got error. Have a look at the error. Missing two required positional arguments. So this n1 and n2, these two arguments are now required. So whenever I call the function, I need to make sure that I am passing those two arguments to my function call. So now the value, this hello will get stored in n1 and world will get stored in n2. So now I am performing addition on n1 and n2, right? So the final result will be stored in add variable, and finally I am printing the add variable. So like this, if I run this program, I got output as hello world and 12. So I can create a function once, or I can define a function once, and I can use it multiple times. Yes, positive name. So in Python, it doesn't matter whether it is a positive number or zero or negative number. If it is a number means, then that will be considered as int. That's it. Yes, of course, Lakshmi, we can create functions like mul, sub, div, etc. You can try that. So basically, I will explain for multiplication. Try that for division and subtraction. I need to replace this plus with star. I need to replace this add with mul. Mul means multiplication, right? So I have replaced add with mul. So here my function name is mul, mul now. So I am performing n1 into n2. So if I pass 4 comma 8, so I will get output as 32, because 4 8s are 32. Similarly, you can try for division and subtraction. So I think I have answered everyone's questions. So here if you want to pass parameters dynamically using input means, first, so you can do that like this. So I am not passing 4 comma 8, I am passing a comma b. Like this you can do. First you need to take input from the user, and you need to store that input in some variables. Now instead of directly passing numbers, pass those variables. If I run this program, enter the value of a 10, enter the value of b 2, I got 20 as output, because 10 to the 20, right? So this triangle pattern, you can try that at home. I can't explain a lot of all the patterns, like there are a lot of patterns. So we need to cover the concepts of functions, exceptional handling, modules, object-oriented programming. A lot of concepts are pending still. So if you want to add information in the function which is created by you, so I think you are asking me. So there is the only way to do that is by passing that information in arguments. That's it. So here let me create. So let me comment out these two lines. So I am going to create a function called info, which will take one parameter, my info, and it will print my info. That's it. So if I say info of hi, my name is Sujit, something like this, and if I run this program, I will get output as hi, my name is Sujit. So what is happening here? So I am passing a string to this info function. So this info function is taking one argument, which is my info. So whatever the string or number which I pass to this function will get stored inside this my info argument. So here I am printing the my info argument. So I got output as hi, my name is Sujit. That's it. So I haven't understood your question clearly, but I think this is what you're asking. So I am going to stop the recording now. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.